I mean, what can I say? I mean, welcome to my channel. Um, quite honestly, I, I'm not sure how to go about this. You're up 6-0, top of the fourth. I don't want to say your most reliable pitcher, but close to it is around there to the point where he's been durable. He's gone at least to the 6 innings. So like if you could get to 6 inning, you got a good bullpen. Um, and I don't know. It's proving otherwise. I mean, here I was thinking that the Mets need to basically change the order of the lineup. Mendoza has to do something. He's got to do something because Carrasco. I was afraid Carrasco was going to like do some revenge thing, but apparently it didn't work. Mets had enough offense. First 2 innings, 6-0. That should have been enough. You would figure, but I mean, I, I don't know what to say. I'm honestly not unsure what to say exactly because this is not a case where which is what I figured that how they went about it was not showing their true potential. And I think it comes down to this. I hate to say this, but I think it's coming down to coaching. Mendoza might not be reliable as a manager. The hitting coaches, again, have to work them out a little bit. Pitching coaches, I think it's okay. It's just you need some pitchers, and there's going to be off nights. I understand there's going to be off nights, but two of the most reliable, Peterson and Reed. I mean, honestly, I thought Garrett Reed giving up a grand slam like that. I mean, like that was a surprise. Um, and then the offense just shuts down at that point. That's the worst part about it. The offense just shut down after what happened yesterday's game. They did really well, and they just shut down this game. That's the sad part about it. I this is this is a game. This is a series that the Mets should have swept the Braves. They should have swept the. They should be sweeping the Braves in this series right now, and they're not. Now the best they can hope for is a 2 out of 3 game, which probably is not going to happen. We've heard right now. We're seeing stories that like we read basically Montez is being thrown into the bullpen. So chances are it's either going to be McLean or Sprout. That's probably going to be brought up on Saturday. I'm hoping it's McLean because Sprout, good as he is, as well as he's doing, he started off kind of not so strong. Started off really bad, and then he built himself back up. McLean has always been consistent. So I think that's why McLean probably makes more sense over Sprout because Sprout, if he comes in, I think he's going to be rocked. It's going to kill his confidence. Going to have to send him back down. Maybe you put Sprout in as a reliever a little bit, like what Starnes was hoping, and to see how that works out. It's looking more and more like maybe Tidwell probably shouldn't have been traded. Um, honestly, it's it's a sad state we're at right now. I mean, you thought the offense was going to be kicking in, like after yesterday's game, and like the first 2 innings, you're like, oh my goodness, the offense is suddenly starting to wake up again. But in reality, I knew realistically it's because it's the Braves pitching. They're not that great, but this is a case where you should have figured that the the Mets. I don't know. I'm just at a loss to be honest. I'm just at a loss. Um, it sucks. It sucks, quite honestly. I'm not sure what to say at this point as well. Too, quite honestly, I think this is. I hate to say this, but I don't think the Mets are going to. I don't think the Mets are going to basically make the playoffs this year. I honestly don't think that's going to happen unless Sprout and McLean come up and like basically are lights out as pitchers. I don't think it's going to happen. I understand Stearns trying to build up the bullpen, but it's a case where I think he was trying to build up for October, assuming that they were going to get to October because we saw there were two weaknesses with the Mets last offseason, basically. One was when they went against the Dodgers. their bullpen wasn't so great. It was showing as well. Let's be honest, it was showing a little bit as well with the Brewers game as well as the Phillies game. Their bullpen wasn't so great. Their starters had to go a little bit more extended, and the relievers were getting the bullpen was getting overused a little bit, and eventually it kind of fizzled out against the Dodgers. And then the other aspect was yeah, the offense wasn't doing as hot as they should have been doing, but the way they were with the other series. So that's why they got Soto, brought up Batty, getting Mullins as kind of your sort of hitter, but also defensively speaking as well too. Because Taylor, good as he is, I mean, defensively he's good, but offensively he was not there. I think Mullins is starting to come into his own, so look for him to start hitting again. I hate to say this, but like Mendoza has to revamp not revamp, but kind of reconfigure the lineup a little bit. I think McNeil has definitely deserved to be moved up into maybe the number 2 or number 3 spot. Maybe put Nimmo in the number 1 spot instead of Lindor. Soto maybe back to 3 or 2. Maybe number 6 or 6th. I don't know, depending. I mean, Soto's starting to hit. Let's be honest, he's starting to hit, but the problem is he's hitting solo home runs. It's not as a case where like there's not enough there's not enough runners on base for him to bring him in. So he's not getting the RBIs. He's starting to hit the homers, but a solo homer is not going to do it. Problem is no one's getting on base. He needs to have people on base for him. I hate to say it, but maybe put him at the number 4 spot or number 6 spot. I don't know. Or 2, Marte's doing really well too, surprisingly enough. And well, actually, it's not surprising. That's what I was hoping maybe the Mets could have used Marte and like used him as trade bait. Same thing with Batty. Same thing with Vientos. Because Vientos, I think he's pretty much done. Mauricio, give him time. I think he'll come into his own at that, for another year. Acuna, speaking from a defensive perspective, he's definitely much better than all the others, and definitely a fast runner. But I don't know. This, like I said, the fact that the rest of the month basically hinges on the Mets between now and the end of August, pretty much having a 90% winning percentage, because they don't get that 90%, they're not going to make the playoffs. I hate to say this, they're not going to make the playoffs. The Reds are coming in on their own. They're hitting at the right cylinders. Don't be surprised if the Cardinals start hitting the right cylinders as well too, and like they start coming up, because like they're not that far behind, to be honest. The Cardinals can get hot. When they get hot, like I said, the Mets are a streak away from being out of playoff contention. They're also a streak away from getting back up into first place, but a day at a time, I guess. I don't know, but I hate to say this, but like Mendoza, like Aaron Boone with the Yankees, I think both of them are going to have to be fired because they're just not doing it. And if the Mets can bring back JD Martinez as an advisor or as a hitting coach, I think that would be good too, because somehow Martinez was able to relax all these hitters and they were hitting. Now, when it comes to like as far as in-game management, I don't know. Mendoza, I thought was good for it, but it seems more and more that he's not suited for it just yet. Maybe he still needs to be a bench coach. I think. I don't know. As a bench coach, he'd be great, but as an in-game manager, I don't know if he's there yet. I mean, last year it might have been a fluke. I'll be honest. I think last year was a fluke for him, and that's the reason why. Because some of his decisions haven't really worked out or panned out really well last year, and this year, I think it was mostly because of the starting bullpen at that time. For the first 2 months, and that's the only reason why the Mets are, still in the thick of things. If not for those first 2 months, I think they'd be out of it. I'm hoping this is reminiscent of the 2015 team, where like first 2 months they were doing really well, and then they kind of like tapered off, and they were like people were worried, and then they just kicked off at the right moment at that point. I'm hoping that that's what happens here, but something's got to juice them up. Something's got to juice them up. I'm hoping Tong does really well in the minors, that come next year he gets promoted to the majors as well too, because Tong looks phenomenal. Let's be honest, Tong was phenomenal. The other reason why I'm kind of like focused a little bit more on McLean coming up over Sprout, because McLean was a two-way player kind of person. Almost, he's definitely no Ohtani. He's no Ohtani, but he can hit. maybe if he starts hitting again as well too, maybe might revitalize the team a little bit at that point as well too. But I don't know. That's a different story. But anyways, um, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Let's be honest. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the rest of the month. Here's to hoping that the Mets win tomorrow's game, and at least take 2 out of 3 from the Braves. They could take 2 out of 3 from each of the series. Then I think the Mets are in a good spot. But if yeah, I don't know. I don't foresee them beating the Mariners. I think they're going to be swept by the Mariners. I hate to say it, but let's be honest. They're going to be swept by the Mariners. They're not that great. The Mets, I mean, that is. And the Mariners are red hot. They're probably going to extend the winning streak. If the Mets can get one game out of the Mariners, that'd be great. I'd be happy if they can get two. Yes, that'd be perfect. Three, oh, that's like icing on the cake. But that's we're asking too much for that. In any case, I'll leave it at that. I'm just gonna end it early. Um, if anyone was sending a chat, I didn't see it, but once the video becomes more mainstream, not more mainstream, but becomes permanent, you're welcome to leave a comment in the comment section. I do read my comments and I do respond to them all. Let me know your thoughts. With that, I'll leave it at unfiltered, unedited, of course, always unrehearsed.